Cultivating divine nonchalance. Oh my God, if ever there was a phrase that is going to get the heart rate rising, this is it. I've found it. I've been repeating this word over and over ever since I read it, and I'm going to share with you where I did read this word. It just jumped out and had a visceral reaction in my body. So I've just been walking around cultivating divine nonchalance, because this is going to help you neutralize your consciousness in a reality that may appear chaotic. So nonchalance is not about disengaging or detaching or disconnecting from your reality. In fact, it's the opposite. That's why this phrase holds so much magic. So we're going to go into the etymology of this, which is going to surprise you. And then we're going to talk about what it is and how to cultivate it. In particular, how to cultivate it in amongst chaos. My name is Hedley Derenzie, and if you have found your way to my channel, you are in the right place, because this is where we cultivate divine nonchalance. If you'd like to know more about me, I do actually have other offerings, including one-to-one law of assumption coaching, my self-concept course, I Am the One, meaning you are the one, and my book, I Am Money, Assume a New Story and Enjoy More Money. You will find all of those details in the box below this video or at my website, youaretheone.com.au. And if I could just ask you for one little favor, that would be to press the subscribe button on your screen. And if you enjoy this video, which of course you will, because we're talking about divine nonchalance, please do give it a like and a positive comment. That would be most appreciated. Thank you so much. So I started this channel about 3 and a bit years ago, very much inspired by the works of Neville Goddard. And this channel is still very much inspired by the works of Neville Goddard. However, there is no denying that in recent times, it has become very clear to me that I am receiving other assistance from other sources, namely the Pleiadians and the family of light. So one of the things that I did recently was I went and read, and I'm still reading, Bringers of the Dawn, Teachings from the Pleiadians by Barbara Marciniak, if I pronounced that right. Now, some of you have probably read this because it was published in 1992, and it is so timeless. It is like this book was written now for these times. That is how you know something is true, if it stands the test of times, and this book does. While I'm still very much inspired by Neville, it has, and of course I will continue to work with his teachings, but his teachings are very much aligned with the teachings of the Pleiadians, which is all about the I Am presence, coming into your I Am presence, returning to the inner infinite authority, which is I Am, and living from there. So as I was reading this book, there was the phrase that jumped out at me of divine nonchalance, cultivating divine nonchalance. And when I saw those two words, they just went poof, and they went poof, and my whole body just lit up. And then I just went into a deep dive into this, because in fifth dimensional consciousness, this is a new level of consciousness, which is different from third dimension, which is still in play, but third dimension is very much of time and space, whereas fifth dimension is very much about positive and negative, and in particular, neutralizing the energies. And this term, divine nonchalance, is like the ultimate neutralizer. Just being positive now is not going to cut it. We are not just going to be positive, because if you are just positive and you are focusing just on the positive, often, and you would have experienced this, you will get the opposite results, and then you'll think, oh, affirmations don't work. Here I am affirming all the positive and I keep getting the opposite. We are at the point in time, listeners, where this is all about neutralizing consciousness, which requires both the positive and the negatives. Everything has a positive and negative charge. In that last video, I talked about grounding, and the reason that grounding is so important at this point in timelessness, the earth has a negative charge, and that negative charge, when you put your feet on the earth or your hands on a tree, or you are on a grounding mat, thank you to the person who commented on my video last time and reminded me of the grounding mats and sheets, but that grounding, that negative charge from the earth is what offsets the positive charges in the body that come from the electromagnetic fields that we are surrounded by today. So negative charges are actually positive for the body, and positive charges in the body are actually negative. You can see how we're working in reverse, where things are back to front and upside down, which is another characteristic of the fifth dimension. So just as we use negative charges to offset the positive charges, what divine nonchalance does, I mean, I could just repeat that word over and over. What that does, it's the same thing in consciousness. So with reality, as we all know, reality can be very enticing and we become very identified with it and we can react to it. And those reactions, especially to those events and situations in reality that we don't want to be experiencing, that are unfavorable, by reacting to them, we actually affirm them and we actually keep them in play. Our reaction to them is essentially an affirmation that they are real, when of course reality is a reflection of consciousness, but we forget that when we're engaged in reality at that level. So what we want to be doing is creating a little space between ourselves and our reality. We're not detaching from it. We're just creating a little bit of space so we can have more command over how we are showing up to what is happening in reality, which is where the beautiful divine nonchalance comes in. So let's have a look at the etymology of divine nonchalance, and there is a purpose to why these two words are together. Let's start with divine, late 14th century, pertaining to, of the nature of, or proceeding from God or a god, addressed to God. So from Old French or Latin, divinius, of a god, or divus, of or belonging to a god, inspired, prophetic. By putting divine in front of nonchalance, what we're actually saying is it's pertaining to the inner state. So divine essentially is that connection to your inner I am presence. Now let's have a look at the word nonchalance. To really understand the power of this word, we have to go deeper than what the etymology is saying. So as you can see here, it says coolness, indifference, unconcern, from French, careless. And that's probably why there is a misunderstanding about this word, because we have come to associate it with carelessness or a lack of concern, which is not what we're going for here. So we have to go a little bit deeper into the etymology to really understand the power of this word. And if you come down here to 13th century, so not, non, ultimately from Latin, calere, be hot or warm. So what nonchalance actually means is not hot, or not too hot, not too warm. Now, when we react to reality, we are in a overly reactive state, which is a highly positively charged state, which of course is stress and anxiety. Now, that stress and anxiety in the body creates positive charges. So too much positivity in the body is actually negative, which is why we need to ground ourselves into the negatively charged earth to offset that overreactivity in the body, which is caused by stress and anxiety. So nonchalance means not too hot, not too warm. And in order to cultivate that, we have to create a distance between ourselves and reality. But it's not a detachment, it's not a disregard. By cultivating divine nonchalance, we're taking the heat out of our reactivity to reality. For you to cultivate divine nonchalance requires a deep inner knowing that you are the infinite I am of reality, and what is occurring in reality is all part of your return to that infinite I am nature. There is a higher purpose to it, and that divine nonchalance, that divine neutrality, is an inner knowing, a deep inner knowing that there is a higher purpose for what is happening. I know that I'm the infinite I am of my reality, and I know that I'm the infinite creator of what I'm experiencing. I don't understand how I created this, but I know it's coming from me. So there is a deep knowing and a deep trust in yourself that your reality is reflecting back something for your highest good. Now that takes a deep trust in yourself. And in order for you to have a deep trust in yourself, you have to be connected to yourself, which is your infinite I am nature. When you're cultivating divine nonchalance, what it does, it gives you an inner peace and inner calm that is not detachment from your emotions. So you're still able to feel your emotions, and in fact, your emotions are incredibly important. So we're not saying we're not feeling them, but even in amongst your emotions, in the center of them is a deep knowing and trust that this again is for your highest good, and everything is unfolding in your highest favor, even if what appears to be happening isn't favorable and what you're feeling isn't favorable. There's a divine knowing and trust that at some level it is. And that produces a sense of calmness in amongst the chaos. So you could be in a chaotic situation and still hold a level of divine nonchalance, knowing that I am the infinite creator of my reality, and I know that somehow that this is all working out in my favor for my highest good and for the highest good of everyone involved. Imagine walking into every situation in your reality knowing that, but not just knowing that, being that, really living at that frequency. Can you imagine the freedom and the peace that you would be living in moment to moment, hour by hour, day to day? And the reason that I've called this video Cultivating is because you may not get this straight off. You may be all about, yeah, divine nonchalance, that sounds great. And then you go out into reality and somebody does something or says something that kicks you off. And before you know it, you're in a reactivity, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, there goes divine nonchalance out the window. No, this is an intention to cultivate this divine neutrality, this divine knowing, this divine trust that your reality is here reflecting back what you are doing in consciousness for your highest good. And if it is unfavorable, then yes, okay, I know what I need to do in order to shift it. Or there's just an inner knowing that I'm already on the right track, and this is all just organizing itself to reflect back the story that I have already created in consciousness. What it also does, it frees you from attachment. Attachment brings hate. Attachment brings need. Attachment brings desperation. I need it. Now, when you need something, it means you don't have it. When you want something, it means you don't have it. When you're cultivating a divine nonchalance, it means there's an inner knowing that, of course, I have it. I am it, and my reality is reflecting it back, or in the process of reflecting it back. Divine nonchalance, it's like another level of confidence. It's like another level of knowing where it's just like you are grounded in yourself, you're grounded in your body, and you're grounded in the knowing of who you are and what all of this is. And that is a beautiful state. Now, by holding that state of divine neutrality, divine nonchalance, you can move through your reality and remain in that commanding role of I am. Because when you are reacting to reality, guaranteed you are not in I am, you're in third person thinking, which is you're doing this to me, or he, she, or they did this to me, or it's unfair. That is the level of third person, and there's no power or command in third person thinking. In order to cultivate divine nonchalance, you have to be deeply connected to your infinite I am presence. So while you're cultivating it, you're also cultivating a deep compassion for self, because we're not always going to be in that divine nonchalance. But the beautiful thing about that phrase, it is such a beautiful phrase to repeat to yourself that it's actually very easy to remember, because you just want to keep repeating it. Divine nonchalance, divine nonchalance. I could just say that phrase over, and I have been over and over and over. It feels so good to say. And there's reason why, because the more you remember it, the more you embody it, the more you experience it, you can remain as that beautifully, deeply engaged being in your reality, while also having the space between yourself and that reality, which just helps to take some of the heat out of your reactions to reality, so that you have more command over how you do respond in those moments where you may have reacted in the past. So yes, go forth, be divinely nonchalant in your reality, and of course compassionate with yourself in those moments where we are very human and we do forget. All right, have a go with that. Have a wonderful week. And if you found this video helpful, please do give it a like and leave your positive comments, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.